Welcome to this video guys, and if you are a beginner to Linux, this video will help you get started with permissions and you will now have no longer any problems related to permissions after this video. Okay, so let's just jump into it. First, let's check whatever we have here. Now as you can see here, I have a file here. Sorry, I have a folder here or a directory here, and then I have a file here. Now, in Linux, there are three kind of entities to which you give permission. First is the owner. As you can see, this is owner and this is group, right? Second is the group, and rest is everybody else who is not the owner and who is not in a group. So there are three entities: owner, groups, and others. So these are the three entities to which you give permissions, and there are three kinds of permissions, that is read, write, and execute. So you have three entities to which you give permission, and you have three types of permissions that you give to any of these entities. Alright, so first let's see what these things are. Now, when you do LSL, everything that you need to do is shown here. So the owner of this new directory is a user called TCC, and the group of this new directory is a group called TCC. Now we will see how we can change that in just a minute. And similarly, the owner of this text.txt is TCC, and the group is also TCC. Now, these are the entities, and besides that there are others. So any user that is not in TCC group is other. Alright, now there are three kinds of permission. Now here, as you can see, there is RWX, and then again there is R-X, and again there is R-X. So I mentioned three kinds of permission, right? That is read, write, and execute. So R means read, W means write, and X means execute. So here, the first three digits after D means it is a directory, right? So you can ignore this D and this dash for now. Now RWX, this means that owner, that is TCC, has the permission to read, write, and execute. And then there is R-X, right? This means that the group has the permission to read and execute. And after that there is R and X, and that means other users who are not in this group and who is not TCC also have the permission to read and execute. Now execute means others and the group can go inside the directory and see what the directory has. If it was a file, let's say if it was an application, execute means you can run that application. But in the case of text.txt, only the owner can read and write, the group can just read, and others can also just read. Okay, so let's see how we can change this permission. First, RWX, remember R means read, W means write, and X means execute. And in the same case, for three entities that we have, right, that is the users, the groups, and the and others, they are denoted by, owner is denoted by U, and groups by G, and others by O. So how can we change the permissions now? Let's say we want to change the permission of this new directory to we just want group and others to just read, not write. So we can do chmod. This means change permission of new directory, and what will we do? We will just write this permission. We will say group minus X. So it means from group remove execute permission, and we just do the directory name here. And if I do LSL again, as you can see, execute permission is removed from the group. And similarly, we can do chmod, and then from others we will remove execute. O minus X. From others, remove execute permission. In which directory? New directory. If I do LSL again, as you can see, now X permission is removed from both group and others. Similarly, let's say we want to give all the permissions to everybody here, right? So what can we do? We can do chmod. Let's say group can have both write and execute permissions in new directory. And if I do LSL again, as you can see, both W and X are added to group, that is G here. And similarly, let's say for others also, that is denoted by O, we want to add write and execute permissions for new directory. Hit enter, and now if I do LSL again, as you can see, everybody has both read, write, execute, and read and execute permissions for others and group also. All right, we are denoting the permissions available by W, R, and X, right? I am giving group permission of read and write, sorry, read and execute, write and execute, and here I'm giving others permission of write and execute. But there's a way to do all this in just one line. So how can we do that? Now, the notation of read is W and write is R and execute is X, but there are also numerical representation. So numerical representation for execute is 1, and for write is 2, and for read is 4. So what can we do? We can make sum of all those digits and give permissions. So let's say we want to give all permission, that is read, write and execute, to owner. So that is 7. 1 plus 2 plus 4 is 7. So 1 is execute, 1, and then 2 is write, so 1 plus 2 is 3, and then 4 is read, so 3 plus 4 is 7. So we give 7 here. And then let's say we just want to give read permission to group, so read is 4, and let's say we don't want to give any permission to others, so we give 0 here. 7 4 0. 7 is for owner, that means 1 plus 2 plus 4, and then 4 means write, so we don't give write, we'll just give read permission to group, and 0 means no permission to others, and where new directory, hit enter. And if I do lsl here, as you can see, rwx for owner, only write, so sorry, my bad, here 2 means write, the group has 2 permission, and then 0 means others have no permission. So this is another way of doing permissions, but it works just in one line instead of having to do in this way. So this is how you can manage permissions. And let's say we want to change owner, right? So one last thing, we are now managing permissions, but let's say we want to change the owner of new directory to root, and let's say group will be the same. So what we can do is we can do chown, that is change ownership, and we can add -r, that means recursive. So if you add -r to a directory, it means it will change the ownership or permissions here. You can add the -r here also in all the subdirectories or files inside this. And let's say we want the owner to be root, and we want the group also to be, let's say group is tcc itself, and then add new directory, now let's do this ls-l, and here as you can see the owner is now root and the group is tcc. So this was a brief intro to permissions in Linux. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below.